Hello everybody, this is Ghost Hunter 385 and I am back bringing you more StarCraft 2. Disclaimer, this video will be somewhat inflammatory to some people, but let's get into things here, shall we?
Dr. Hanson yet?
Sure did. I asked that sweet thing if she'd like to give me up.
Dude, you're sitting there hitting on a woman and you know the first thing you ask her is, "Hey sweet thing, can you give me a physical?"
Who might that be?
Oh my lord. Talk about someone give this man a lesson in some tact here, people. Jim Raynor is several things. White Knight is not one thing I would describe him as. I mean, if you had to sit here and think about it for a minute, Jim just tries to help everybody in need. So I wouldn't call him a White Knight. I would call him a Knight of Valor. I would say that.
Military minds are being brought to bear, and it's my pleasure to announce that they'll soon be led.
And you're bringing out a retired not war general, but a retired general with wartime experience because you can't trust your current officers to do a job. You know, this is pretty bad. And when I say bad here, folks, I mean that you have a cast of current officers, well not a cast, a selection of current officers, and you cannot sit there and choose any single one of them to do any form of leading of your troops. That is a bad sign. And I'm not sugarcoating that. That is a bad sign that you have no faith in your current standing officers, especially from the military aspect. That is bad. You know, the Terran Fire Bat has one of the heaviest armors of the Terran infantry, but they just, oh geez, what's the word I'm looking for here? They do the job, but they're not that good at doing the job. It's the best way to phrase it. To make it more simple, truth is that heavy armor and flamethrowers are nice, but you want the range. You need more range.
I've heard a lot about you, Commander.
Well, of course, the Dominion is going to portray him as a criminal instead of who he really is, because guess what? Shocking that James Raynor has always been somebody who fought for peace and liberation of the good people of the Kapulu sector. And because of that, oh, he's a problem. He's a muckraker. He's a rebel rouser. Big governments don't like them at all.
It sure felt good rescuing those folks. But there's millions.
Well, it feels good to do good deeds, Jim. But on the flip side of that, you also have to remember, you can't help everybody. That's terrible. Well, I hate to break this to you. Not everybody has an infinite amount of resources to go save people. Sometimes people have to save themselves. It's sad, it's terrible, but it is true. Hate it, love it, it's true. Mission time. Let's see, Monolith, Redstone, Meinhof. Let's go to Monolith.
The Mobius boys think.
Thank you, Tychus, but no more.
There it is, Jimmy. Just like Mobius said. Easy money.
I don't know.
Yeah, easy money, except you've got a small bastion of Protoss, and oh look, oh no, it's the Zerg, and now we have a problem. Oh well.
No idea, but you can bet they're headed straight.
You know what they say? Let's not fight two armies at once. Let's deal with one. Let's deal with one or less, and let's stick to that, shall we?
We only need to hold the area at the top.
We only need.
Long enough to
Jim's got it right. Smash and grab, folks. Smash and grab. It's like the end of Scary Movie, where Shorty's sitting there giving that little advice on how to survive. It's like, you know, if you have to run, don't quit, don't ever stop running. And then at the very end, it's like, smash and grab, y'all. Alright, mission time. Alright, today's video topic is about relationships. Relationship advice specifically for men. I'll do another video for women later on from the man's perspective, because I think it's a good idea to have everybody's perspective when it comes to this thing, but there's just one fundamental rule. You need an honest perspective here, and people won't like it. Also, just so anybody knows, this mission's going to be a little bit more difficult in the fact that there are no supply crates here where you can get more Vespane or extra minerals. There's none of that on this mission. You have to solely rely on your resource gathering here. And also, I'll do my best to point out the artifacts as we go, because as you can see earlier, I got the first one, and then you'll see the second one here in just a moment.
I got something new for you, cowboy.
Now, I'm going to cue this relationship advice into my three main points here, but in that regard, just remember, this is for men. If you're a woman and you don't agree with this, that's your prerogative. But just remember, women are not men, nor do they understand what they think. There are those who claim to say that they do, but on the fundamental level here, women don't understand men as better as they do. Which comedians, I don't remember if this was a comedian or somebody said this, or it was a scientist, I don't remember, but they said that women understand women and they hate women. If you can't get over base level hatred, how do you expect to understand other people? Now, some people might sit here and say that's sexist, and it's not. It's an observation that if you can't get past over your baseline hate of another person for sex, gender, race, religion, whichever of those is the case, you are going to have a biased purview. And that's why I'm saying, I'm just saying this right now. I'm going to be as honest as I can. Now, I'm not going to be like butthole honest here, but I'm going to be honest as I can to try and not be too much of a butthole here. Okay? So, rule 1. If you're dating a chick, woman, however you want to phrase it here, if this person has social media where they're posting pictures, there's the second artifact right there, left-hand side of the screen, folks. But if you're trying to date a person who has a Twitter, Facebook, or whatever, and they're posting thirst pictures, do not date that person. When I say thirst pictures, I mean bikinis, revealing anything that you could be considered revealing. Let me rephrase that, my bad. Revealing outfits, bunny outfits, whatever you want to say it. Bikinis, really tight swimsuits, whatever, and they're just showing off their body. Number 1, do not date this person because you will not be enough for them. Hey, that's not true. Okay, then let me explain this to you. If you have to sit here and have attention from multiple other people to feel value in yourself, that is not a person who's in a good mental space to have a relationship with. You know, I'll sit here and throw out that person might be good for a friends with benefits situation, but coming from the MGTOW perspective, that's not a sign of a healthy person, especially for a woman. Now, people might sit there and say, why are you quoting the Crimson Capsule or MGTOW? And the thing that a lot of people don't seem to care or understand about the MGTOW movement is that basically, is that the MGTOW men have basically gone and picked out women's bad behavior because our society values the sacred mother a bit too much. Hey, that's sexist. No, it's not. It's the truth. if I can't turn on a TV show and have my wife listen to about how bad some women are, and she's like, I can't watch this, turn it off. I'm like, why? Because yes, I'm a married man here, been married for 10 years. It speaks to the fact that, you know, if someone can't stand to hear that there are bad people out there, and some of them are women, you know, and they can't stand to hear how bad their own sex, gender is, that they've done terrible things throughout history or through the modern era, guess what? That's not a good sign. And even I've told her that that's not good, that she can't stand to watch it. She just says she doesn't like bad things. Well, nobody likes bad things, and that's a given. And that's, you know, that's fine. But on the flip side of that, you gotta remember that in life, there has to be criticism of things. If criticism is not allowed, you get what happens in nowadays, where you have people who are like, oh, I'm all this in a bag of chips. And it's like, dude, you're broke. You have 5 children who you do not see. And right now, you're cruising around looking for your next baby mama, as a criticism here towards men. How is that any good? The real answer is that it's not. So, rule number 1, avoid women with social media presences where they're basically posting half naked or very revealing outfits. Number 2, communication. Now, people might sit there and say, what about communication? If you cannot effectively communicate with your partner, that is a problem. And if you cannot address it the right way, it's going to make any type of relationship go sour quick. And when I say that, I mean that, oh, what's a real good example here? Oh, let me think for a minute. I will use an example from my personal life about my parents here. I'm going to do my best to leave as much out as I can here. But basically, in a nutshell, from everything that I've seen about my parents' relationship here, is that my mother had to be large and in charge. Now, some people might say, oh, she's a control freak. And, you know, part of me is like, no, but then but I have to sit here and say to myself, well, that's true. Because she could not, because I only ever heard these stories from my father, mind you, and for a long time I thought that he was bitter, and then I grew up, got married, had children, came back home, well, the place I live now anyway, and we moved in with my mother, let me make this very clear, and then we had to bail her out of the situation she put herself in. But in any case, my mother could not effectively communicate with my father, or she did not care to effectively communicate with my father. And because of that, she and he eventually caused such a burning in their own relationship that it destroyed their own relationship. And that's something I've fought for very hard with in my relationship, to make it very clear here that communication is needed. And not only is communication needed, you need to be willing to actually communicate with said person. You don't do that, you will blow up any form of relationship faster than you could say anything. And back to the Crimson Capsule MGTOW point of view here, simply put, most women nowadays, there's no way you can communicate with them. Because guess what? Most of them align with the left side of the political spectrum, and it's like, she's demanding X, Y, and Z, you know, she's demanding equal house chores and equal parenting time with the kids, but anyone who has kids who is a parent knows that, you know, 50-50 is a nice thought, but it doesn't always work out that way. Communication is key for any and all relationships. And because my parents could not effectively communicate because of the power dynamic where my mother had to be in charge, guess what? She lost her first marriage. And then so that's my second point. Now, for my third point here, single MOMs. How dare you? Single MOMs need love too. Yeah, sure, they need love. But here's one fundamental problem, especially from the guy's perspective. Single MOMs are more focused on their kids, and rightfully so. Excuse me, rightfully so. And because rightfully so, you know, that's a good thing. But on the flip side of that, that doesn't bode well for her relationship. And I'm not proud to admit this, but when I was a little boy, my mother did get remarried to another man. And I got a stepdad. But I never really gave him a shot. I mean, I did have my own issues with this person, don't get me wrong.
That's fine.
But on the flip side of that, I also went out of my way to make sure that I caused problems in their relationship. And it's like, you know, it's like you did that on purpose, and it's like, yeah, and it's hard for me to admit that, but it's the truth. It's, you know, it's like, you're terrible. It's like, well, gee, I was what, 10 maybe, and my parents were divorced, and I don't even remember that because I was maybe 3 years old. And I love my dad, I love my mom, but I didn't like the guy who she married. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I didn't do it on purpose, but on the flip side of that, I also have to acknowledge the fact that, to me, my mother getting remarried to somebody, oh, right here, first video is exactly what I'm talking about. See my medic right there, out leading the pack? First video topic right there that I was complaining about. My likes and dislikes right there. Sorry about that, but let's get back into it. And ultimately, my mother divorced him because me and my elder brother, yes, I am not an only child, my elder brother, were causing too many problems in their relationship. Now, as an adult myself, and I reflect and think about it, I realized that he wasn't a bad person, but on the flip side of that, he had his own issues to deal with, and I think he jumped in on a relationship a little too soon, in my opinion, as an adult. As a kid, you know, I wouldn't say I didn't like the man, but on the flip side of that, hold on, let me check for my fourth artifact here, because you guys already saw the third one earlier. Where is it? I'm trying to remember, just give me a moment. Uh-oh, back to action here. But in any case, it's not that I didn't understand, or, well, no, I didn't really understand what was going on, and that's actually a fair assessment on my part. But, you know, just as an example, my stepfather at the time, best way to phrase this, he was an alcoholic. He would, whenever he was not at work or not on the job, he was drinking and smoking. And my mother absolutely hates smoking, and because of him, she now views a lot of people who drink, and I'm not saying people who drink, like, I'm not sitting and talking at real alcoholics here who have to drink to function. I mean that she basically calls anyone who drinks, you know, like a can of beer or so a day, she functionally calls this person an alcoholic.
Yes, sir.
Now, is that right? No, but that's how she views it. And that's something that he did.
Roger that.
But, you know, there was also the fact that there was one day that he was drinking a beer in the house, and my mom had come home, was about to come home from work, and he'd been drinking it, and we were in this hallway of the house that we were currently living in, and he stuck the beer in between this large chair that was more of like a couch chair, or wasn't like any of those chairs you just sit in. He stuck the beer in between the cushion and then the pillow to hold it in place. Hold on a second, what's going on here? Mutalisks and Hydralisks. We're fine, we're fine. But he stuck it there, and I knew that if I walked out with that beer in hand, because earlier when she had come in, he'd put his hands up, he'd put his finger up to his mouth and said, shh, kind of like keep this quiet. And I grabbed that beer can, walked into the entryway with it, holding it up like, what's this? And it immediately started a fight. Not proud that I did that, mind you, here, people, but I still did it. And it wasn't too long after that that they got divorced. Now, do I feel bad for doing it? Yes, because in the long run, it ended up hurting my mother. But in the short run, it's like, I wanted him gone. I had no respect, no value. I didn't see any value of him being in my home. And, you know, I don't know if that was true for my younger sibling here, but that's the truth. I didn't want him. Nowadays, whenever I think about it, I do feel a measure of guilt here, but I did do that. And then, you know, as another example of single mother stuff here, I had a buddy when I was in the military. Yes, I'm a United States military veteran here.
That's funny,
he met a single MOM who was also in the service, and he hooked up with her. And when he hooked up with her, it wasn't too much longer after him hooking up with her that she said she was pregnant. And he immediately put his foot down and said, I want proof. And no, this isn't going to be, you're going to show me the this positive pregnancy test. I want to be there outside the bathroom, or I want to be there and see you use this pregnancy test to make sure that you are, as you claim, pregnant. It wasn't too long after that she cut contact off with him. Now some might say, oh, he dodged a bullet. And, you know, it's true. He did dodge a bullet. But on the flip side of that, you know, what was she doing? Heck if I know. Trying to get a dad for her kid. I don't know. Trying to get a man. I don't know. But again, number 3 here, avoid single MOMs. And as for women who dodge single dads here, you know, give the dude a shot. Now, some might sit here and say, well, you won't give a single MOM a shot. Well, there's just too much bad behavior associated with single MOMs. And it sucks, but that's the truth. And then my 4th quick point here before the video ends and we go into the outro. Avoid women who are hung up on their ex. They have their ex as their friend. Anything of like that, or they still talk to their ex, do not date these women if you're a man. And I'm going to post a series of videos about that down below in the description, and you can listen to the story about that was sent to this YouTuber, but take it with what you will, or take it with a grain of salt, however you choose to. But in any case, that is my video, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.